when he held me at gunpoint. My boyfriend held a gun to my head and pulled the trigger. Click. He laughed. Safety's on, babe. But the next morning, he told me it never happened. That's when I realized he wasn't just trying to scare me, he was trying to make me think I was crazy. It started after fights. We'd argue. I'd cry. I'd think it was over. But then he'd walk to his gun case. Not yelling, not angry, calm. He'd pull out the Glock, check the chamber, look at me. Therefore, I'd freeze. Every muscle locked. He'd point it at my chest. Finger on the trigger. Smiling. Relax. Short pause. Safety's on. I'd beg. Please stop. But that made him laugh harder. You're so dramatic. Why are you like this? This wasn't once. It became a ritual. After every fight, the guns would come out. Sometimes the Glock. Sometimes the revolver. He'd spin the cylinder. Run his thumb along the barrel. All while I sat there, heart hammering in my ears. Then he'd point it. Not quickly. Slowly. Deliberately. The barrel would find me. My chest. My face. And his finger would rest on the trigger. Not pulling. Just resting. I'd cover my face with both hands, shoulders shaking. Please, I'm begging you. But he'd just smile wider. God, you're so weak. The erasure morning would come. Sunlight, coffee, normalcy. Therefore, I'd try to bring it up. Last night, you pointed the gun. He'd interrupt. What gun? You held it to my face. You. No, I didn't. Not defensive. Certain. You had a nightmare. But I was awake. I saw it. Babe, I went to bed early. You're stressed. Your memory's fuzzy. And then, this is the part that breaks you. Therefore, I'd start to wonder. Did I imagine it? Because I was stressed. I hadn't slept well. After fights, my mind was already foggy. Maybe he's right. But he wasn't. And that doubt, that was the point. He'd keep going. You exaggerate everything. You need drama. The problem's with you, not me. Therefore, I started thinking, maybe I am the problem. Maybe I'm oversensitive. Maybe I'm making things bigger than they are. Factoru. What gaslighting does gaslighting? I didn't know that word then. But here's what it does. It makes you distrust your own mind. When someone repeatedly tells you that what you saw didn't happen, your brain starts twisting. You think, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm oversensitive. Maybe I'm crazy. Therefore, you stop trusting yourself. And once that happens, you're trapped. Because if you can't trust your own memory, how can you trust your decision to leave? It's especially effective after fights. When you're already tense. When your memory is already foggy. You remember the important things, but small details blur, and he'd use that against me. You're remembering it wrong. You're confused. You always do this. The diary. I started writing everything down. October 14th, 11:47 p.m. Glock. Pointed at my head. Said bang 3 times. Called me pathetic when I cried. October 19th, 1:03 a.m. Revolver. Finger on trigger. I wonder what would happen. Page after page. Proof I wasn't crazy. But reading it back was torture. Every page. Another incident. Another gun threat. Another time he told me I was losing my mind. Therefore, I showed my best friend. She read 3 pages. Looked up. This is abuse. But he never actually... He doesn't have to pull the trigger. He's terrorizing you. And then he's erasing it. That's the abuse. She was right. But leaving felt impossible. Because by then, my mind was so manipulated I couldn't trust my own judgment. What if I left and realized I'd overreacted? What if everyone thought I was crazy? The threat. Then came the night everything crystallized. Another fight. About his drinking. He'd driven home drunk again. He went quiet. That dangerous kind of quiet. Therefore I knew. He walked to the case, pulled out the revolver. But this time was different. He pressed it against my temple, cold metal on skin, and then he whispered, "You know what I think about? If I pulled this trigger, who'd believe you? Everyone knows you're dramatic. They'd probably think you drove me to it. Not bang. Not laughing. A promise. He kept it there. Seconds felt like hours. Therefore, I finally understood. This wasn't about the gun. It was about power. He wanted me to know my life was in his hands. And then he wanted me to doubt that knowledge, to gaslight myself into staying. He pulled the gun away, kissed my forehead, went to bed. The next morning, while he was at work, I packed one bag. I didn't even take the diary. I was too scared he'd come home and catch me. And then I left. The healing. The next 5 years were brutal. Not because I regretted leaving, but because healing from psychological warfare takes time. I'd wake at 3 a.m. heart racing, convinced I heard a safety clicking. Panic attacks in grocery stores when someone moved too quickly behind me. Therefore, I went to therapy. My therapist explained, he created constant fear. Your nervous system learned you were never safe. Even though you're physically safe now, your body hasn't unlearned that yet. Nightmares came. In them, he'd stand with the gun. I'd try to scream. No sound would come out. I'd wake gasping, sheets soaked. But slowly, painfully slowly, I healed. I learned terms: coercive control, intimate partner terrorism, psychological abuse that doesn't leave bruises but leaves deep scars. Therefore, I understood. I wasn't crazy. I was terrorized. There's a difference. My therapist said something that helped. You don't need to remember every detail. You just need to remember that you weren't safe, and now you are. Therefore, it's not about the gun. It's about domination. And the gaslighting afterward? That's about making sure you don't trust yourself enough to leave. Because abusers don't just hurt you. They make you complicit in your own abuse by convincing you it isn't happening. They twist your reality until you can't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. Until you start doing their work for them. Questioning yourself. Dismissing your own fear. Staying because you think maybe you're the problem. Closing. If this is happening to you right now, you're not crazy. Not too sensitive. Not overreacting. Your fear is real. Your reality is real. Therefore, document what's happening. Write it down. Tell someone you trust. And when you get the chance, leave. Because love doesn't hold you at gunpoint. Love doesn't make you question your sanity. And your safety is not negotiable. It took me 5 years to heal fully. 5 years to stop having nightmares. 5 years to trust my own memory again. But I'm alive. I'm safe. I'm free. And I trust myself. And that's everything. Follow for more.